Your story, our station.
If you've ever felt trapped in that endless top 40 loop, you know the feeling. Same songs, same sounds, same safe choices. Like the world hit repeat and lost the button to try something new. Today, I want to introduce you to a crew that's built to do the exact opposite. Change the station entirely. Bullet End Flight is based right in the heart of the 505, Albuquerque, where the green chili runs hot and the creative energy somehow runs even hotter. And when I say Bullet End Flight, I'm not talking about one single project or one single vibe. Think of it more like a parent company to a whole family of artistic misfits. People who don't fit neatly into the usual boxes, and honestly, don't want to. At the center of everything is a mission that's pretty simple to say, but not always easy to pull off. Elevate the voices that usually get talked over. The artists who get labeled too niche, or too different, or that weird one, too Albuquerque. Whatever that's supposed to mean. If you've ever heard something like that about your work, this is your invitation to pull up a chair. Because that's not a deal breaker here. That's the whole point. Bullet End Flight is built around inclusivity, creative community building, and giving underrepresented artists the megaphone they deserve. Not as a trend, not as a marketing angle, but as the core identity. It's a response to a creative world that can feel gated, filtered, and overly polished, where the most interesting voices get told to tone it down so they can be easier to sell. And here's where it gets fun. Bullet End Flight doesn't believe in staying in one lane. Because why would you? Why drive a sedan when you could take a spaceship? The whole approach is more like, what does human expression look like across every format? And then going after all of it. Let's start with music, because that's a major part of the DNA. The mindset here isn't pick a genre and stay in it. It's more like, what's the vibe and does it hit? That can mean the spiritual charge of gospel, the late-night pulse of house music, the smooth storytelling and emotion of R&B, or even that classic country charm where life falls apart but somehow the drink is still cold. It's not about fitting into a category. It's about making something that feels alive. But it doesn't stop at music. There's a strong dedication to the spoken word too. Podcasts that get into the real stuff, not just surface-level chatter, and poetry that doesn't play nice. The kind that lands heavy, the kind that says what people avoid saying, the kind that reminds you words can still be dangerous in the best way. Then there's film and TV writing. Getting into scripts that actually have a heartbeat. Not another recycled reboot of a reboot. Not something designed by committee to offend the fewest people possible. The focus is on stories with soul. Stories with perspective. Stories that sound like they came from real lives, in real places, with real edges. And of course, the stage. Because there is nothing like live performance. It's unpredictable, it's electric, and yeah, anything can happen. And usually does. The stage is where art stops being an idea and becomes a moment, right in front of people who can feel it in real time. So why would an artist want to plug into something like this? Because being a starving artist has been romanticized for way too long, and it doesn't need to be the default. And being a lonely artist, trying to build everything by yourself, with no village, no network, no support, That's even worse. Bullet and Flight is about building that village on purpose. The goal is to take the talent that's been brewing in the Southwest, often overlooked, often underestimated, and project it outward. Not in a please notice us kind of way, but in a we're already here, and we're bringing the whole sound with us kind of way. Bullet and Flight positions itself as a launch pad, a safety net, and the hype you didn't realize you were missing. And let's be honest, a lot of people are tired of gatekeepers. Tired of needing permission. Tired of feeling like they have to sand down everything interesting about their work to be taken seriously. If that's you, this is a space that's built for finding your tribe. People who want loud, weird, real art, and who aren't afraid to make it together. If you want to get in the mix, deon base https://just-dominic. And if you want the visuals, you can find the YouTube channel at Just Dominic Music. Bullet and Flight Music, LLC is the company behind it all. And the invitation is open. Check out what's being built, listen to what's coming out, and if you're ready to change the station, this is a good place to start.
Waiting for you. Christ Followers Network on Bullet and Flight Radio. Oh, on Bullet and Flight Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to Bullet in Flight Radio. Your story, our station. Today I want to take you with me, mentally, spiritually, and practically, into Southeast Asia, with a special focus on Vietnam and Thailand, and then a real comparison with the Philippines. And we're not just talking about where to eat, what beach to pick, or which temple has the best photo spot. We're talking about how to travel with a living, breathing spiritual practice, specifically through the lens of progressive, mystical Christianity, and especially for LGBT Christians who are trying to hold on to faith without being crushed by rigid religion.
Because here's the fascinating thing about this region. Southeast Asia already has an incredibly rich spiritual atmosphere. Thailand and Vietnam carry deep currents of Buddhism, mindfulness, compassion, presence, community. The Philippines holds a powerful, communal Catholic identity that shapes daily life in a very different way. And if you're coming from a progressive Christian place, where you care about inclusion, direct experience of God, and a faith that actually looks like love, this region can feel like a mirror. Sometimes it reflects what you've been searching for. Sometimes it challenges you. And sometimes it heals you in ways you didn't expect. So for this episode, I'm bringing you 4 esoteric Christian practices you can actually carry with you as you move through these destinations. Think of them like spiritual tools you can pack right alongside your passport and your charger. Then we'll get concrete. What it's like in Thailand and Vietnam for LGBT travelers, progressive Christians, and women travelers, plus what to do for fun, how to approach spa culture, and why you really should step outside the resort bubble. After that, we'll compare the Philippines across the same categories, and we'll answer a big question that comes up a lot. Are Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines welcoming to people of color?
All right, let's start with the heart of it, the practices.
Practice number 1 is Hesychasm, and I want to connect it to something you'll be doing constantly on the road without even thinking about it, breathing. Hesychasm is an ancient Christian mystical path centered on inner stillness. A lot of people know it through the Jesus prayer, short, repetitive, and meant to be prayed in rhythm with the breath. But I want to make it even more practical for travel. Because when you understand what breath does to your nervous system, how it steadies you, how it changes your emotional state, this stops being a purely mental exercise. It becomes physical. It becomes embodied. It becomes something you can do in the middle of chaos.
Here's the idea. You choose a short sacred phrase. It can be the Jesus prayer, or something similarly simple and devotional, and you tie it to the inhale and exhale. Inhale with the first half. Exhale with the second. And you let the repetition settle you, not like a chant to distract yourself, but like a way of turning your body into a kind of sanctuary, like your chest and your breath are a little chapel you can carry anywhere.
So imagine you're walking through a street market in Hanoi. It's loud, it's crowded, scooters everywhere, smells and sounds hitting you from every angle. Or maybe you're somewhere completely different, sitting quietly near the water in Boracay, where the world finally gets silent enough that your own thoughts start getting loud. In either place, that simple breath prayer becomes a home base. And for LGBT Christians especially, there's something powerful about that. It's a sanctuary nobody can lock you out of. No institution can deny you access to your own breath. No judgment can stop you from practicing the presence of God inside your own body.
Practice number 2 is theosis, which is a word that can sound abstract until you put it into real-life choices. Theosis, in esoteric Christianity, is the idea that humanity is invited to participate in the divine nature. Not just to obey, not just to be good, but to actually take part, to become more alive in God, and to help shape reality in partnership with the divine.
And travel is a surprising place to practice this, especially if you're a queer Christian moving through different cultures. Because it makes something obvious: reality is plural. People live differently, love differently, pray differently, and still find meaning. You start to notice how much of the world is made, not just found. The stories we uplift, the people we support, the art we share, the conversations we choose to have, these things shape what kind of world exists.
So here's a travel form of theosis. Be intentional about whose world you're helping build while you're there. Seek out underrepresented voices and support them on purpose. In Bangkok, that might mean showing up for local queer cabaret performers, tipping well, and treating the artistry with real respect, not like a novelty. In Palawan, it might mean choosing to buy from indigenous artisans and learning the story behind what you're purchasing rather than grabbing the cheapest mass-produced souvenir. Even small decisions can be a form of co-creation. You're saying, I'm here to expand the world, not just consume it. That's theosis in motion.
Practice number 3 is philoxenia, sacred hospitality. And I want to flip the usual understanding of hospitality for a second. We often think of hospitality as what a place offers us. But philoxenia asks something deeper. It's the love of the stranger. And spiritually, it's the practice of recognizing Christ in the other.
Now, Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines all have reputations for warmth and hospitality. People are often incredibly generous, helpful, and welcoming. But here's the twist. As a traveler, you can practice philoxenia not just by receiving kindness, but by becoming a safe presence yourself.
What does that look like? It means moving through a country as more than a customer. It means honoring the dignity of people serving you. It means listening well. It means paying attention to the stories people share and not rushing past them. It means letting your presence be affirming rather than demanding. And if you're LGBT, it can mean something else too, sharing your authentic self in a way that creates connection instead of defensiveness. Not as performance, not as argument, just as gentle truth. Philoxenia is mystical love practiced in everyday encounters.
Practice number 4 is what's sometimes called the sacrament of the present moment, a phrase associated with the mystic Jean-Pierre de Caussade. The core is simple. The will of God is not only found in grand spiritual experiences. It's found in the actual moment you're living, whatever it contains.
And travel, of course, is built on unpredictability. Flights run late. Monsoon rain shows up like it owns the place. Plans fall apart. Language barriers create misunderstandings. And you can respond to that with tight control and frustration, trying to force reality to behave, or you can treat the moment as a kind of sacrament. Not because everything is pleasant, but because everything is real. And grace often lives in the real.
When you practice the sacrament of the present moment, you stop worshiping the imaginary version of the trip you thought you were supposed to have. You lean into what's actually happening. You release the need to curate every second. And you start finding holy ground outside the resort walls. Inside the unplanned conversations, the detours, the slightly chaotic meals, the small kindnesses that weren't on the itinerary.
So those are the 4 practices: Hesychasm through the breath, Theosis through intentional co-creation, philoxenia through sacred hospitality, and the sacrament of the present moment through surrender to what's actually here.
Now let's get into the practical guide portion, starting with Vietnam and Thailand.
First, for LGBT travelers in Thailand, Thailand is widely considered one of the most welcoming and safe destinations for LGBTQ+ travelers anywhere in the world. And an important legal milestone, as of early 2025, Thailand enacted the Marriage Equality Act, becoming the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. That matters, not just symbolically. It sets a tone. It signals safety and legitimacy in a way that travelers can feel.
In everyday life, you'll find a visible queer culture, especially in urban areas, and a lot of social ease for visitors. That doesn't mean every person is perfectly informed or that bias doesn't exist anywhere, but the overall travel experience for LGBT people in Thailand is strongly positive.
Vietnam is a different legal landscape, but it can still be a very affirming travel experience. Vietnam does not have legal recognition of same-sex marriage, and it doesn't have sweeping national anti-discrimination protections the way some travelers might hope. But socially, Vietnam is often broadly tolerant, particularly for visitors, and major cities like Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi have vibrant queer communities. In urban centers, you can find welcoming spaces, events, and a visible scene where LGBTQ+ people connect and create culture.
Now, for progressive Christians traveling in Southeast Asia, here's the best part. This region's spiritual pluralism can harmonize beautifully with progressive Christian values: compassion, mindfulness, community care, generosity, and a kind of grounded reverence for daily life. If you're open to learning from Buddhist approaches to presence and communal responsibility, you may feel your faith expand rather than collapse. Not by abandoning Christianity, but by hearing it echo in a new room.
The hard part, though, the worst parts, if we're being honest, is that you might occasionally run into conservative Western expat or missionary communities whose approach is very dogmatic. And that contrast can be jarring, especially if you traveled hoping to breathe. There's also something else that can feel heavy: the commercialization of sacred spaces. When temples or holy places start functioning like pure tourist funnels, it can be disheartening. The practice here is discernment. You can honor what's sacred without romanticizing everything you see.
Let's talk safety considerations for women travelers in Vietnam and Thailand. Overall, violent crime against tourists is rare in both countries, and many women travel comfortably. But safe doesn't mean effortless, so a few real precautions matter. One is petty theft, especially bag or phone snatching in busy city areas. In some places, thieves on motorbikes have been known to grab items out of a traveler's hand or off a loose shoulder bag. A crossbody bag worn securely is a simple upgrade that makes a big difference.
Another is nightlife safety. If you're going into major party zones, big beach parties, packed bar streets, highly tourist nightlife, watch your drink carefully and keep awareness high. It's basic advice, but it's worth repeating because it prevents the worst kinds of situations. Transportation is another category. Street taxis can be hit or miss, and negotiating fares can sometimes drift into scams or just uncomfortable interactions. In both Vietnam and Thailand, using ride-hailing apps like Grab tends to be safer and calmer. The route is tracked, the price is locked, and you remove a lot of friction.
And one that some travelers forget until they're standing at the entrance: temple etiquette. In Vietnam and Thailand, modest dress is expected for sacred sites. Shoulders and knees covered is a good baseline. If you build that into your packing list from the start, you won't have to scramble later.
Now for the fun part: what to do beyond the obvious.
Yes, the street food is incredible. Yes, the history is rich, and island hopping is a dream. But there's also a major opportunity to plug into inclusive performing arts and underground creative scenes. In Bangkok, make time for cabaret shows and indie music venues. In Chiang Mai, look for smaller creative spaces where local artists experiment, perform, and tell stories that you won't find in mainstream tourist brochures. Supporting those scenes can be one of the most meaningful ways to travel, because you're not just looking, you're participating. You're helping creative communities thrive.
Let's talk spa culture, because in this region it's not a minor luxury, it's practically a pillar of the travel experience. Thailand is famous for Nuad Thai, traditional Thai massage, which is more invigorating than some people expect. It often blends acupressure with assisted stretching, and it can feel like your body is being reset. Thailand also offers high-end wellness retreats that combine holistic practices with serious luxury, and people fly in from around the world for that.
Vietnam has its own strengths. Therapeutic hot stone massage, herbal steam baths, especially in the northern mountain areas, and daily treatments that are both accessible and surprisingly high quality. One of the biggest takeaways in both countries is the value. The quality-to-price ratio is so good that you can realistically build regular spa time into your trip, even daily, and still stay within a reasonable budget.
Now I want to underline something: explore outside the resorts.
Resorts can be stunning. They can be restful. They can be exactly what you need for a few days. But if you never leave them, you miss the soul of the place. The real spark is in the night markets that feel like living ecosystems. It's in roadside food carts where the flavors are loud and unforgettable. It's in architecture that carries layers of history. It's in small, spontaneous human warmth. The tiny moments where someone helps you, jokes with you, teaches you a word, or shares a story. Step out. You don't have to abandon comfort. Just don't let comfort become a wall.
All right, now, what about the Philippines?
The Philippines is often described as one of the most LGBTQ-friendly countries in Asia culturally, with strong visibility of queer people in media and society. Many travelers experience it as open, warm, and socially easy. But there's an important nuance. The Philippines is also deeply Catholic, and that creates a gap between cultural acceptance and legal protections. Same-sex marriage is not legally recognized, and national anti-discrimination protections are still debated and contested. So socially you may feel welcomed, and yet legally the structure hasn't caught up to the culture.
For progressive Christians, the Philippines can be profoundly moving. The faith there is communal, woven into family life, community rhythms, and public identity. If you value community care, charity, and a lived sense of spirituality, you may find it inspiring.
But the challenge is also real. Conservative Catholic influence shapes laws and social expectations. A striking example is that the Philippines remains one of the only countries in the world where divorce is still not legally permitted. For many progressive travelers, seeing how doctrine affects real life at that level can feel restrictive, even if the people themselves are kind.
For women traveling in the Philippines, the country is generally considered safe, and there are strong matriarchal elements in many communities. Respect for women is often visible in everyday interactions. Like anywhere, big city issues apply. In crowded areas, especially in Manila, stay aware of your belongings and take the same precautions you would in any major city. And again, for transport, ride-hailing apps like Grab are typically more reliable than hopping into unmetered taxis off the street.
For fun in the Philippines, of course you have the iconic island experiences, Palawan, Boracay, diving beaches, and that gorgeous water. But there's also a cultural treasure that travelers sometimes underestimate, the singing culture. The Philippines has a reputation for extraordinary vocal talent, and live music can be woven into regular nights out in a way that feels effortless. If you love performance, vocals, and musical storytelling, you'll find moments that feel electric.
Spa and healing culture in the Philippines is also worth seeking out. Beyond standard spas, look specifically for Hilat, a traditional Filipino healing practice. It often incorporates a massage approach that can feel almost chiropractic, plus warm banana leaves and coconut oil used in ways meant to identify and ease imbalances in the body. If you're someone who likes your wellness experiences to be rooted in local tradition, Hilat is a beautiful thing to try.
And yes, just like the other countries, get outside the resorts. The Philippines has one of the most visually iconic everyday transit experiences you'll ever see: the jeepney. Taking time to experience jeepneys up close, noticing the customized designs, the mechanical improvisations, the way they function socially and practically. It's like getting a window into the country's creativity and daily life that you simply will not find in a gated tourist space.
Now let's answer a question that comes up constantly, and it matters. Are Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines welcoming to people of color?
In general, yes. All three countries are widely known for hospitality, and violent racism against tourists is extremely rare. Most travelers of color report feeling safe and receiving warmth and curiosity rather than hostility.
But there are nuances you should know so you can interpret what happens accurately. One is colorism. Across all three countries, there are beauty standards that strongly favor lighter skin, and you'll notice skin whitening products being marketed everywhere. That can be uncomfortable to see, and it's part of a deeper cultural and historical pattern across many societies, not just in Southeast Asia. In terms of lived travel experience, for Black travelers and other people of color, what sometimes shows up, especially outside major tourist centers, is curiosity. Stares. People asking for photos. Direct questions about skin or hair that can feel blunt if you're not expecting it. In many cases, it's less about hostility and more about limited exposure. That doesn't make it automatically pleasant, but it helps explain the vibe. Most of the time the energy is inquisitive rather than threatening.
And the Philippines, in particular, often feels socially straightforward for many travelers because of how westernized certain systems are and how widely English is spoken. That ease of communication can make it simpler to connect, clarify misunderstandings quickly, and build genuine rapport with locals. So if I can wrap all of this into one guiding thread, it's this. Southeast Asia can be an extraordinary place to travel as a progressive or LGBT Christian, not because every structure is perfect, but because the region invites you into lived spirituality, breath, presence, hospitality, community, embodied care. And when you bring esoteric Christian practices with you, you're not just sightseeing. You're learning how to be at home in yourself, wherever you land.
That's it for today's episode of Bullet in Flight Radio. Your story, our station. Wherever you're headed next, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, or somewhere you haven't even imagined yet, may you travel with courage, discernment, and a spirituality that actually makes you more free.
Well, the times they are a-changing fast. Some old truths just built to last. We're the Christ Following Network on Bullet in Flight Radio. Yeah, the Christ Following Network on Bullet in Flight Radio. Christ Following Network on Bullet in Flight Radio.
Bullet in flight, fly. Bullet in flight, fly. Bullet in flight. Bullet in flight. Bullet in flight. Fly.